Yes. Okay. So please shoot your question again.
Okay, I was just curious, in the momentums module, there's the four boxes, right, that are define an area for,
Yeah.
biology, geomancy, right, geography, and others. And I was wondering what does the box define, okay? Because sometimes the vertical bars for the different biomarkers, sometimes they go way outside the box.
Yeah. Okay. So we have four main categories in the momentum, as you said, and we have 15 different biomarkers. So this 15 or 16, these biomarkers are grouped into these four categories, and each small bar is one biomarker, and the large bar, the one you were talking about, is just an average of the group. So as it's an average, sometimes you have one bar going way higher, and for
Yeah,
instance, three bars a little bit lower. And so you see the average for geobiology, geomancy, as you say, organisms, etc. And so you have, in a
toxins and
sense,
stuff.
you see the four main categories, and then you can refine and see if one is especially out of the ordinary. And so you have to pay attention to if one is especially high or especially low. It can be a hint of what is going on the momentum point of view. But it's just the average for the
Okay,
categories. Mm. And the
beautiful.
problem that you have in your recording is that because one of the biomarkers was missing, the average was not showing, which is a kind of bug. We should do the average on three if we only have three. Mm. So
And
it will be,
then I have,
yeah.
well, thank you for that. That's helpful. I have another question in drives,
Yes.
right? My shadow drives. So, and it has to do with mind shadow drives, but the different categories like grief, lack of grief, no, grief, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then when you go to the what is it? Where it shows the different lines, what is that, progress or whatever, it's
Yeah.
right, okay.
Okay.
And then when you see the little line charts with the dots, okay, well, so um I'm looking at it and I know that they're red or green, right? I kind of taken the blue light out of my monitors so that it helps me just differentiate between red and green because I have a red and green color blindness.
Yes.
But
Mm.
so the lines, when it has a starting point, right? And a lot of my starting points are usually, it's very rare that they're below 60, right? But anyway, so you go and I've got 6 scans on this, right? And so it goes the dots, and then the last two dots are down, like lack of grief, right? So now it goes down. And then when you
Yeah.
look at mind shadow drives, the bar below the horizon line, because that's destructive, is smaller. But if you go back to a different scan, the bar is bigger.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is it a paradox? Because green shows up, and I guess red and
So
green, I guess.
green and red means it's giving energy or taking energy from the counterpart. So
Oh,
as soon as there is a line, it means that there are some common resonances between the two, and these common resonances are the bridge that allows these two biomarkers to exchange energy and information, because
oh,
you need to have a common language to exchange energy and information, and this common language in our electromagnetic body is the resonance principle. So if you have some frequency in common, you can do a resonance, and with this resonance, you can actually send energy or information. It's the thing that if you have two tuning forks in the room,
mhm.
if you hit one of the tuning forks, the other one will start vibrating. But if you have another tuning fork in the room that is not on the same frequency, it will not vibrate. So
Yes,
by hitting only one tuning fork, you can send a message to the other tuning fork that is in resonance with the first one, but not to the third one that is not in resonance with the first one. And this link between the two tuning forks that have common resonances is what we show on the screen. with these red or green dots. So apart from the red or the green color, just the fact that the link is drawn means that there are common resonances. And then the color means that one of the two items has more energy than the other one, and so is the one that is sending energy to the other one. Okay? So it's kind of the direction of the energy that is sent that is given by you with the color, but not only the color, also the animation. You have some dots that are going one side or the other one, and that is an information that you should know even if you're colorblind.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I was looking at that, but when you go into the progress area, right, and you look and it draws out, you got several rows of lines and they're arranged according to, traditional Chinese medicine, whatever,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it only shows like it's only got one line and it will say lack of grief. Now, and it does go down, right? So it's red, right, going down. And I just thought that was a paradox, but you really have to go to the mind shadow drives and then look at it and look at the constructive and destructive, because sometimes it's not grief and lack of grief, right? Or at least that's my remembrance. I don't have it up here right now, but I was noticing that and I thought, well, it's a paradox, because I understand that the lack of grief bar got smaller. It went up towards the horizon from the bottom. And so that makes sense that it would drop. But, on the other ones, if they're all green and you see a drop, oh, something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Okay. I understand what you mean. Okay. So what you mean is that in progress, destructive drives should be green when they go down.
And and not red, because I'm looking at it going, well, red and green, they're not following the same, it was confusing.
No, it makes sense.
But of course, that's why I went back and looked at it in the drives module.
Yeah, it's true that in progress, we only show red and green if it's going up or down from the first to the last one. But you are absolutely right. We should reverse that for the destructive.
And if you can show the link, right? If it is because the logarithms are picking up the link. But if you can show the link, in other words, if there is a link and they are communicating, not just the singular biomarker, it might need a new module, but then you can show, and that would be so helpful in the mind shadow drives to show. I mean, even if it's just on the vertical bar, just put those two together on the progress, right? And I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but.
Okay, so what do you suggest to isolate in the progress only the items that are linked together?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting. Okay. And then you can show, I mean, other than just a bar, because most people, they see the bar up or down and that's okay, but then it doesn't really show, at least.
No, it's true. When you are on the drive page, it's a snapshot. So it's only one of the recording. It's not the evolution. It's true.
Yes.
And so maybe if we could show all the related items in the progress. So for instance, if you want to work on grief, we could isolate everything that is in resonance with grief and see how the whole system is evolving. It's a good idea, yes.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, sure.
Please do, Michael.
I have to share my screen. I see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now it relates to the organism, which was really a big theme, I think, back in the days, a year ago or so. It was kind of evolving that we say, okay, and if an organism is down, it's a good thing. And so in the overview of all the biomarkers, you can see that they have a low number. But this was just the beginning. Now you can see here a harmonic boost for a person. This is one of my clients. And you see that toxins are down. See? You see the meridians, ST39, ST42, gallbladder 1, and then it comes toxins.
Okay.
Now, if toxins are down, we say, okay, toxins is something we don't want.
Yeah.
The same with organisms.
Yeah.
And if they are down, I think it's good.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Dan said. We already reverse the meaning for that in several parts of the app, but not in the progress. And it's actually another side from my side. It should be reversed in the progress, and it's a very it's a remark. Yes,
because here it's the same with pathogens and other things. You know,
exactly.
It's like
exactly with pathogens. We have some of the biomarkers that are an inverted logic. The higher they are, the worse it is. And in that regard, we should reverse the red and green visualization. So
because right now what is happening here is that the system thinks, oh, the toxins are down. This is no good. So they get a harmonic boost, which doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, because everything's a paradox. I mean,
it's a paradox.
But in esoterics, it's a mirror. But the challenges are paradoxes. That's really what I've, that's just my perspective. But that's what I've learned in all the different philosophies. I mean, I don't have the background that TJ has, but from my perspective, my understanding, it's the paradox, and that's what really grabs people. They don't get the paradox.
No,
right?
And this is why and this is why as a pro you have to be so clever to tell them, look, these are the toxins, they are down. It's a good thing because you don't have lots of toxins. Maybe you have a good diet the last 20 years, and another person is full of toxins. You are like, oh, we have a problem here, so we have to think about it, and you have to do some, detox stuff and things like that, which the modern mainstream people never do. And so I think it's important, and we as a pro should be able to understand that. And so this is my wish to Mederic, that the things who are not good, so we should not in the body. Should be not in the harmonic boost because they are, and the other thing, which I think is a tricky question, but I think
I agree with that, Michael. The last thing you said, that would be good to that is alarming to people. That's a great point, Mederic, if you want to change those words. I just want to jump in and reiterate that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think we should be able, even if it's not an easy thing to do, that if a person is there, because I notice sometimes there's an organism who is in the middle of the organism field where you have all the four different parts of the organisms, and one is in the middle. And it's blue, for example, and the next day, then it's there, and the next day it's not there. And then the next day it's there, and then it's not there. So I noticed that it's changing constantly. And we are not able to identify the ones who are maybe critical or the ones who should stay in the body because the gut system needs it. I think it's a very tricky question where we should be able to identify the ones where we say, okay, we have to look at this, and you have to go as an expert and find out whether there's something in.
Yeah. Okay. So two things, and I will probably forget half the thing in the meantime. So please ask the question again at the end if I just oversaw it. So the first one was about negative things that show in the harmonic boost. I have to check, but I think that in the priorities identification algorithm, we do actually revert some of the information to identify what we want to put into the priorities. Because, as you said, some of the biomarkers are the reverse logic, and we want, for most of the biomarkers, we want more energy, but for some of these biomarkers, we want less energy. And I think it's already taken into account into the priorities algorithm. So if you see that into the priorities, it means that somehow it should be addressed, and it's one of the things that should be addressed right now by your customer. So if you see toxins in the harmonic boost, it's probably because toxins have somehow to be addressed from the latest
simulation.
Yeah, but I will check again in the algorithm if it's actually the case, but I think it is. Okay.
Great.
We already have this logic, especially for the organisms, and that pertains to your second question. When you go to organism, you see three different buttons. You see common,
I know.
And all, okay?
Yeah.
Common are the mostly the beneficial organisms, the ones that you should have in your gut, in your vagina, in your saliva. You have a lot of organisms that are actually beneficial for the body, and these ones have a positive evaluation, okay? And you see a little bit of the very common, for instance, the common cold, the flu, the thing like that, that should be into common. When you see more, you see some more classical pathogens. And when you go to all, you start to see weird pathogens that you usually only find in strange places or exotic countries or things like that. Okay. So for the pathogens, we also have this logic. Some of the pathogens have a positive evaluation and some of the pathogens have a negative evaluation. And again, it should show in the colors and it should show in the priority selection. But as Dan pointed before, I think it doesn't show yet in the progress screen. And it should actually be reversed in the progress screen. It should be green when it goes down for the negative ones. So TJ, I'm not sure I understood what you wanted to change in the priorities. Is it only the wording or I don't know what? But the selection shows that if you have actually toxins in the priorities, it means that you should listen to these frequencies to balance your toxins. So that should be correct.
Thank you.
And TJ, what did you mean by?
Yeah, well, it was just reiterating what Michael said. When you're seeing the protocol, just because it's kind of like opposite that, so that people are like, oh, I'm getting this medicine, but it's like what we were saying, like the paradox or whatever, that's just confusing to people. And then it takes, I feel like it just brings like some doubt into people's minds. And then we have to like recircle that when we're discussing it with a client or going through their chart. And I think that's what Michael was saying.
Okay, so can you give me an example, because I still don't understand.
Michael, do you have one handy? Like off the top of my head, it's kind of like yeah. Go ahead.
No, it was a general question, I think, because I have I tell the story very practical. You know, I use different scan systems. And one is very accurate, and he's saying, okay, you have this virus in your system. And then I treated it, and a year later it was gone. So this is a very positive thing. I mean, this one is from Russia and is very medical. And I don't want to go into medical because I'm not allowed to do that. So in this case, for me, it's fine the way it is right now. But I think people get also fearful if they see, oh, this bacteria, what's going on there? And I found this, and oh, what you found out, and is it critical? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, you know, so I think the thing with the organisms is you have to be very clear the way how you describe it. And what I notice often that you have one which is active today and not active tomorrow. And so you think, okay, then I don't have to care about it. This is my attitude.
Well, actually, that also depends on your diet, because you can eat 1 cube of sugar, just a little sugar cube, and all of a sudden you just blow everything out. But then as the body absorbs, or the liver takes it out, right? Or you get you're getting your body is a very good insulin reactor, right? Then it's gone. So then, but the sugar also gets consumed by the bacteria or whatever, fungus, mostly fungus, in your digestive tract. So now it's gone, right? Or it's not strong enough. The other thing to that paradox, well, what I'm here is I am in organisms, right? And I can't show you on this screen because this is my test screen. I mean, I can bring it up on my laptop side because I've got a keyboard monitor switch, right? 2 different computers, and I have the me expert for testing. But when I'm looking at it, you've got a virus, which I don't know is either yellow or green. I don't know what color it is on the upper left quadrant. But when you click on it, then it shows the resonance, the communication.
Yeah.
So now it's resonant communication from virus to bacteria.
Yes.
Okay. So, I maybe not have had as many questions as Michael has, but from people, but when they look at that and they see, oh my God, well, I'm just looking at my scans and yeah, I've got a lot of different stuff going on, right? I get that. But, um, they see these big blobs in there, right? It's like, oh my God, oh geez, it's a virus, right? Or I got, a parasite, or I mean, I don't have any parasites in my screen, but I'm just using that as an example. And you click on them and you see they're huge. And then you see a bunch of smaller dots in the same quadrant, and some of them are all the same. They're like the same, right? So uh, I got influenza, human papilloma. Okay, no, maybe they're not. Well, wait a minute. No.
Okay, so you have to remember this is an energetic assessment, not
Yes.
not a biopsy, not a biological assessment.
Yes.
So it shows your energetical activity related to the energetical imprints of these organisms. So that's why this page is only for pros.
Yeah.
Common people will see 200 viruses or parasites analyzed in the system and say, oh God, I have 200 viruses, I'm going to die, which is not the
I'm going
point.
to start growing a horn.
No, it's not the point. It shows your body electrical and energetic activity around the imprint of these viruses. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. We are not doing an analysis to say, hey, you have 200 viruses or bacteria in the system. We are doing an analysis to say, hey, you currently have an activity that shows something related to what this virus or bacteria could feed on or could work on. And that is a very important point. You have to remember that most of the virus and bacteria and fungi that we have in the body are here for a reason, because they are here to feed on something that you give them. Okay, and that's why you have to look at the emotional aspect of every of these parasites to see why they are here and why there is an activity that could be related to them. And what you have to understand is that if you see, for instance, a big biomarker related to a very nasty virus, it doesn't mean that you have this nasty virus, but it means that if you cross someone that actually has the virus, you have maybe a good chance to catch it because you are in good resonance with what this virus wants. Okay, so it will find a proper terrain in your body to feed on something that you actually have. So it's a good way of working on your terrain, working on your on what you have in your body and your energy and your mind to not feed this kind of parasites. That's how you can frame it. You can say, oh, okay, so you have a strong sensibility for this kind of viruses, and this strong sensibility, if you go to the emotional aspect of the virus, you can say, oh, this sensibility is fed by your that and that and that and this kind of problems. And at that point, your client will say, oh, that's exactly what I feel right now. And I didn't feel like that last week because I just had this news that came to me or something like that. And you can say, okay, so either you face your problem or you could maybe at one point get sick because this virus will find that it's very happy with you being having this problem right now.
I would even say in the end of the day, it's always about good diet. But I can tell you a very funny story about this situation. I had in the last, the lady came over here with her scan system. So we did another scan. So there they detect some parasite in my system, which is really, dangerous for the kidney, And I freaked out. I said, oh, where's this coming from? I can't believe this, So I went to the doctor and I told her I have this scan system and, and this and problem. And, she was a not normal doctor. And I said, can we do something, no analysis, nothing, just treat it. And then maybe it's gone, And she looked at me and she said, Michael, in this case, I think we should do it like you told me. I was really scared. So she signed a receipt, and I went to the to the pharmacy and bought some special treatment for $60, German marks, and I took it, and nothing is happening. Nothing. Didn't feel anything. And the result of this teaching was for me, and this is really important in this discussion, that my impression is it was the wrong information. But it really freaked me out. It really freaked me out. And I will never forget that, because maybe this is just
But because you tried to treat something that maybe wasn't there, you had a terrain that could welcome these parasites, and you should have worked on yourself on the terrain, because maybe your diet, maybe what you had in your mind, maybe because you were not grounded properly. I don't know what. And for that, we have a lot of information in BioCoherence if you go to the emotional aspect of every one of these parasites. So I would say, don't go to the biological aspect of parasites unless your client clearly has the parasite.
In rare cases, or if you treat yourself, you want to look at it a little bit, and maybe the neuropath says you have this, and you look at it, is it true, and things like that. Just in rare cases, that's the best way.
But if you go to the pathogens, always go with caution and say, hey, we have a pathogen module, but it's mainly to understand your terrain, how you could host this kind of pathogens. And what we will do now is work on you to just make you better, to not get those pathogens that you could be sensible to. And maybe what we should do in the software is rephrase the thing to make it very clear that we are not saying you have this pathogen. We are saying you have the terrain that is welcoming this kind of pathogens, which is very different.
Yeah, well, what you could say, and I mean, Michael, even you brought this up when we talked about this a couple months, 3-4 months back. Wherever the conditions for life exist, that life will exist. So if your biome is, your gut biome, if you're tending the garden and you're fertilizing your biome with this fertilizer, well, guess what? Now the conditions for life exist. That life is going to be looking for that, right? So you're resonating. I mean, because your DNA, even the virus, well, maybe not virus, but bacteria and fungi and all that, even parasites, they got DNA too. And guess what? That DNA is talking. It doesn't just stay inside your body; it talks to the whole world.
Yeah, it's so true. And also with the clients, if you say if you tell them sugar is not a good idea to eat, they're like, "What?" I said, "No,
that's my problem right now. I'm
no sugar,
chocolate.
No sugar." I mean, there are chocolates without sugar, by the way. But I would say, the clients are always so astonished, like, no, drink 2 liters of water and no sugar. I said, this is basic stuff, everybody should do.
Well, I've got cacao, and I'm trying to wean myself up a sugar chocolate to cacao.
But what you can do, you can buy cacao powder.
I have it.
And make your own sugar. That's what I do. I make my own sugar with very less. I do my own chocolate. With very less sugar, and it tastes really good.
I also have the butter. I also have cacao butter.
Yeah, I do cacao with maple syrup.
Yeah.
I got a brick from wherever. Shave it off.
Yeah, I got some McDonald's maple syrup, and a long time ago that's my same as my last name, and those were my relatives, but they passed away, and they left it to the University of Toronto. So
nice.
Our family, the American side, the shirttail relatives, never got any benefit about it. But there was 50 acres of maple trees that were, not necessarily in my name. They were in my dad's name, right? But they were in our family's name. It was more than 50 acres. There was a lot of maple trees, and it was out of Gould, Quebec. So anyway, I digress. Also, for the and I just like to have this reiterated again, is in the drive section, right? And you're looking at the horizontal line, so you got constructive and destructive. And the idea, as I understand it, is to make sure that bar's in the center, right? There's no bar. You just want to see a horizontal line.
Yeah.
And, for the first two boxes, I'm pretty good. I've got those there. But when it goes over to others, the destructive side, those are how people are triggering me. I mean,
you cannot aim for nothingness. We are a living system, and we are on Earth to experiment things. And you can put you in a black box and stop eating and just pray. But what's the point of going on Earth? I mean, if you decided to come to Earth and to incarnate into a human being, it's to make some experiences.
Yes.
Yeah, and so these experiences will show in the drives if you express some emotions and feelings and actions and so on, and it will move every day. And it's good that it moves because it proves that you are living. Okay, so don't aim for a flat line, because a flat line is not really the point of coming to Earth. I mean,
flat line is flatlining.
Yeah, exactly.
People. Not a lot of people address the emotional aspect of eating too, Medrick, like what you're saying. Like what you're saying on, it's easy to live in a cave and pray, but you're not having this interaction with Earth, or whatever. And part of food and eating is that it's feeding your emotional field. So it's how you feel about it. There's the chemical composition of sugar and stuff like that, but sometimes not having the right chemistry, if it's feeding you emotionally, overrides the dissidence of that, and people don't acknowledge or realize that very often, like the emotional stuff. That's why if you get what you need and you're in a good spot, you can eat stuff emotionally sometimes, and it's actually good for you, even though the substance may not be.
I think TJ's
that's where the BioCoherence comes in, because what's that?
I said, I think TJ's communicating to us through telepathy because his lips aren't moving.
Yeah, if that works. But I think that's part of one of the assets of BioCoherence. When you're getting those frequency stuff, it's one of the things that is addressing your emotional field and feeding it with the frequencies and the vibration.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like common knowledge, and people don't like openly acknowledge feeding their emotional bodies directly and consciously in a way. That's one of the things that the frequencies do, because we're being bombarded constantly by frequencies that are dissonant to our emotional fields. And it's like, until people start interacting and normalizing just directly and consciously feeding each other emotionally and yourself, I don't, it's just not in a holistic model. It's like, if people can't agree that we have souls, how do you intact your soul or bring it with you, when you pass on, or cultivate it, if you can't even do that. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out because it came up, and one of the assets that I tell people with the BioCoherence, that it's feeding on that emotional level, and especially people with deep emotional stuff, like we've seen with Laura and I, dealing with people that aren't really addressing it. We can put them onto the, we could see like, oh yeah, this emotional thing is going on, but the person is not ready to address it yet, or it's too much. We'll put them on the BioCoherence, and then after a couple weeks of listening to the frequency, subtly that stuff will come up, and then they'll consciously deal with it, which is beautiful medicine. And I don't know that there's a lot of other things besides like a yoga practice that actually do that and bring that out into people. So that's like a great tool that we have here for that.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it.
Yeah, rather unpacking things where then it's like, like a healing crisis or something if they're not ready. But the subtle energies of the vibrations and the BioCoherence. I mean, I've seen some people kind of like run, but for the most part, people don't go into that healing crisis because it's adjusting what they're ready for and just giving the frequencies to bring it to the surface where they can address it in a harmonic way, rather than like a destructive breakdown or crash or something.
Well,
I'm very happy that you say that, because this healing crisis that you're talking about is something that I saw a lot with other devices, and or other modalities. And not being brutal was one of the very hard thing that I wanted to do with BioCoherence, being gentle with people and caring to their own inner rhythm and giving them time to adapt and so on.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that it works, because that was really one of the main goals of all of this work. So
Yeah, and that's a great point. And we've seen that with a lot of these other technologies, what sets biocoherence apart. And Jeff knows this just in seeing everything that's out there. A lot of times it'll take like outside stuff and push it in and force it into the body. And then people, if it's not a healing crisis, sometimes what we see is people develop these walls
yeah,
or subconsciously are blocking then what they need, and it makes it worse in a sense. And then the person's got this glitch and they're like kind of whacked out. And
yeah,
I feel like biocoherence is smooth like that, where it's giving you the choice and the opportunity to go inside out rather than outside in. So, yeah.
yeah, which is a very good point. And maybe we should issue a recommendation to not go into stimuli on the first session with the client. Just stick with the basic structures and
Right.
go to stimuli, maybe only one if really you want to do some work at the beginning, but start gently, respect
Yeah.
the rhythm of people, and let them see the first experience they can do with the biocoherence frequencies. And when they start being convinced by their own feelings, maybe go deeper with the stimuli.
Yeah, certain people can hit that though too, because I know with Steve, I think Steve did all right. Like, if you is he on here at the beginning? It's like, oh yeah, my harmonic boost is like 3 hours. Like, what'd you do? Oh, I added 100 stimulus.
Yeah, but Steve is.
And I gotta plug my phone in so it lasts that long. Well, biocoherence is a mirror. That's really what it's a mirror. And why do you think I suggested for people to look in the mirror? Because it brings it up. And I don't ever, add stimuli or even change the program for at least a couple, at least a week or so. I said, look, play this out. Just do the harmonic boost. It'd be better if you did the personal guide, but let's get a good solid baseline. And then when we do a scan, look in the mirror. Because the mirror, even the subconscious stuff, it brings it to the forefront, right? I mean, you don't have to like what you see in the mirror. Hopefully, I'm not saying that that's what you see, but but it brings it up. And then when you do another scan, and then you notice a difference, then it's easier for me to say, well, uh, it's a series of questions, right? Well, say one good thing about today. Say one bad thing. Okay, say one good thing about the first scan. Say one bad thing. Say one good thing about the second scan, and it gets them to feel, right? It gets them to feel the feelings internal, because reality is inside you. I mean, it's not outside you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't step in front of an 18-wheeler semi, but everything's inside you. Because why? Even if the semi hits you, where do you feel it? Until you don't feel it. Well, you feel it inside, right? So anyway, that's what I don't know. I mean, I didn't say the same thing as same words as TJ, but this is powerful. That's why I like the emotional drive so much, because it's this bio. I mean, there's nothing like it out there, not that I've seen so far.
Yeah. Okay, super interesting.
All right.
What time is it? I don't see.
Oh,
5
5
minutes
minutes.
to 5.
Yeah. Are we stopping here? Or?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Everybody have a good
Anton.
weekend or whatever, and happy Mother's Day to Christine.